It's two guys of Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackie and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
Yeah, I mean, last year, everybody was just comfortable. Like, we was losing. Everybody was just coming, just practicing, going through it. This year, we got energy. Everybody happy. We want to see our brothers succeed. You know what I'm saying? We playing with passion out there, and we playing to win this year.
Judd, you have a Timberwolves flag?
You know what? I should because that was fun. That was fun. Well, I gotta have some fun. Oh wait. Hold on. I got some.
I know it was the Rockets.
I
know, but it was the Rockets. I know it was the Rockets. Yes.
It's the original Timberwolves garbage can I got in 1990. There you
Bang
go.
the trash can.
I got the trash can. This is the original Timberwolves. I think I got it at Target in 1990. That's my flag in the ground for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I love that old logo, man. That's a great old. I know they're bringing back some retro, like late 90s uniforms at some point this year. All right, this is Mackie and Judd, daily Minnesota sports entertainment. And if you are not, look at that button, the inaugural draft button.
The Pooh Richardson draft.
Look at that, dude.
Uh-huh.
Dude, those are worth something. Maybe not. Probably not worth anything. Can we turn them into NFTs? That's the question. Daily Minnesota sports entertainment. And if you are not entertained after what the Wolves did last night, and I get it, it's the Rockets. They're in a rebuild. Eric Gordon's like the only guy left over from their relevant teams a couple years ago, but you were in the building for that last night.
Yeah.
And by the way, our executive producer, Declan, on a little vacation. He's traveling during Vikings bye week, and so we want to welcome back Ross Brendel. He was part of the initial SKOR North birth a couple years ago. He is helping with all things podcasting across SKOR North, behind the scenes, and Garage Logic, and I think you probably have takes to be slung around here today, too.
Gentlemen, it's good to be here. When I signed via free agency in late August, I was told there could be opportunities like this to put the clipboard down and navigate the team down the field, and that's exactly what I'm hoping to do today. The goal is not to be Declan. Nobody can be Declan.
No,
but the
tough.
goal is to be that serviceable backup quarterback that can win a few games if need be. So Ross, it's fun to be here.
Ross is the game manager producer today here, just hoping not to turn the ball over 4 times. Don't crash the plane. It's pretty much all we need.
I mean, there's a chance he's great, and then this is the Bigs. So
this is Case Keenum. This is Case Keenum in for Baker Mayfield.
Their job. I mean, I'm sure Dex is having lots of fun, but guys have lost their job before.
Yeah, you think Baker Mayfield's not nervous tonight watching Case Keenum?
Exactly right.
I'm just saying.
I mean, Roscoe comes in and he stars, and lots of hot takes. You never know what's going to happen come Monday.
So I got nothing to lose, just gunslinging.
Love it. So, okay, first of all, for people saying calm down, it's the Rockets, okay? Screw you guys, all right? That was a religious experience last night. The end of the first half with Anthony Edwards raining down threes and then turning to the Rockets bench and calling for a timeout on their behalf.
Hey, you got to call T.
I mean, come on. Like, that was the most fun I've had watching Timberwolves basketball in years, maybe even including the brief playoff run but that was like a grinded out. Everyone hated each other.
And we talked about that team. That Jimmy Butler as a single entity was fun to watch. I enjoyed it, but we talked about the fact that was a joyless team. Like, that experience was not fun to watch. The Wolves, okay, I'm going to make a statement that's going to sound incredibly over the top and hot, but if you think about it, it's not. Because I'm not comparing them as players. They're not even close as players. The Wolves have not had a heartbeat like Ant since KG.
Wow. I need to process that.
I'm saying heart and soul, heartbeat of the team.
I think you're right. I mean, Ricky Rubio for a little bit early. But but he wasn't the player that Ant is.
But Ant's also wired different. Ricky was, and I do not mean this derogatorily towards Ricky. Ricky was charming, and Ricky was a great passer.
Yeah.
But look at the package that Ant brings, and then look at the intensity with fun. See, that's the thing. That's the line that I think is very hard to walk in sports, because like KG too was incredibly intense. I don't know that he was fun. Ant is fun. And he's really good. That's a hard combination. Karl's got that. Like, you got to be really good to pull that combination off. You can have one of them, but a lot of guys don't have both of them. I'm just saying.
Well, a lot of people, when Anthony Edwards was drafted, called it a questionable pick for two reasons. Number one, he's kind of a volume scorer. He's not the greatest shooter, and so he's going to have to take 30 shots to get 25 points. And then secondly, and some of it was some of the things that he had been quoted as saying leading up to the draft, but that he's just the second coming of Andrew Wiggins, that he's talented. Yeah. He's a volume scorer who just doesn't really love basketball. Well, yep. I think we can put those comparisons to bed. Anyone that's putting Anthony Edwards in the same sentence, the same arena as Andrew Wiggins, hasn't been paying attention. Yep. Look at how he controls the game. He's the emotional leader, as you said, and I think I agree. Like he's probably, what'd you say, the soul? What was the way you phrased it?
He's the heartbeat. He is the heartbeat of this team.
Yeah, and by the way, look at his body. Like the guy's grown like 2 or 3 inches. He looks like a power forward out there, but he's operating at shooting guard and point guard speed. Wiggins was. He just wanted to blend in with the hardwood floor, basically. Like Wiggins, he'd have some games here and there, but like he wanted to be a complimentary piece. That's his personality. I don't think he's ever stepped foot in a weight room in his 7 years in the NBA. But he was the number 1 pick who always kind of would rather have been like the 11th pick and just kind of blend in. And now he can kind of do that with Golden State. Anthony Edwards walks into an arena with 15,000 people, or I don't know how many people were there last night, but like
16 they announced.
Okay, 16,000 people.
That's not a bad crowd.
And he is a front man.
Yes.
He is the lead singer of a band that sold out an arena, and he's comfortable with it. He loves it. And I think he's the perfect complement to Karl Anthony Towns, too, because Towns was magnificent last night. What did he missed like 30 points on like 14 shots or something absurd. Mm-hmm. And Towns can now kind of go about quietly going about 30 points, 10 rebounds, block a couple shots, outlet passes, while Anthony Edwards is the front man. And it just seems like such a perfect compliment. And I get that it's the Rockets, but this is the stage of the game the Wolves are at. Destroy the Rockets first and then see what happens.
There's something incredibly important, though, because I got that tweet, too. There's something very important about that statement that I want to get to, but I want to go back to Ant for a second, too, because he is the front man, but here's what he does so well. And he's 20 years old, right? He's 20 now. It's incredible. He is so comfortable in his own skin with who he is that he allows Cat, and this is absolutely fine. I'm not criticizing it, but I could tell you after going to the Cat post game last night, at which he was great again. He talks through stuff. He's really good. Or intriguing, I should say. Good's probably not the right word to listen to, but Karl Anthony Towns talks as if, and in some ways it's true, this is his team. And like I watched this team from, on TV or at the game last night, and I'm like, oh no, this is Ant's team. And Cat's incredibly important because you need 2 or 3 guys. But Ant is so comfortable with who Ant is that Karl's like, this is my team. And Ant just does Ant's thing.
Like, but it's kind of both their teams, and they both are comfortable with the other one being in each other's space, I think.
But my point is, a guy like Ant could make it very clear I'm the dynamic guy here, because he is a dynamic player, but he does such a good job of just being himself and being really good that Cat is comfortable too. The Butler fallout with Cat especially is probably largely on Butler, but there's a portion of that Cat couldn't find a way to sort of fit into it, right? Like Cat was like threatened by Jimmy. Cat couldn't find a comfortable space for Cat to basically play his role.
Yeah.
Ant being who he is, everybody's comfortable. The vibe. I don't care if they were playing the Rockets last night or the 68 Celtics. The vibe last night from that team was so different. And I'm going to tell you, though, the most important thing, and this is where the Rockets thing out the window, because if this keeps up, this is the difference. It had nothing to do with Ant scoring. It had nothing to do with Cat scoring. It had everything to do with what we saw last night was the best defensive effort I have seen from this franchise in a long time.
Yes.
And Pat Bev didn't play. Pat Bev, and the last that I heard...
Right. I forgot about that. That dude was suspended for last night.
He was suspended for the game. And he's your 3-time All-NBA defensive, I think, first-team guy. And so that is the starting point of, like, why did they win? 38 points off turnovers last night.
Yeah.
More than they got in any game, not surprisingly, last season. The defense was key. And yes, the Rockets are probably susceptible to bad plays, but you don't get the turnovers that the Wolves got and the points off of them unless you, one, have a plan to quickly transition, which they did, and two, you work your ass off. Like, I don't care who you're playing.
I
That's
also
work.
think getting the result that they got, like I think it's easy in the NBA to just sort of get away from playing defense because there's 82 games, especially if you're on a losing team. It's like, I mean, Ant Edwards kind of said it in that quote off the top. He's like, yeah, last year, I don't know, we were just kind of going through the motions sometimes. I'm not trying to justify it, but if you're not seeing results and your franchise is in turmoil and there's really no plan or sense of purpose, it's probably hard to play all in defensively, in February, March, April of a death march season. And, it's a new coach, and so there was a bit of a spark. But, like, to start over and to get a full off season and a full camp, and I love the things Karl Anthony Towns is saying. Like, he's kind of, last year he was crying at the beginning of games because he was thinking about his family members that had died because of COVID and, all this terrible stuff. And it's like, he has found a renewed passion for basketball. And now there's these stories coming out about how he watches these crazy YouTube videos before games, like gorillas fighting each other, and, only one can come out alive. And it's, I mean, whatever you need to get up for a game, I guess. But I feel like Cat's dialed in. Anthony Edwards looks like he's taken his body and his game to another level. I love the way that D'Lo kind of blended in. Last night, he didn't try to take, like, sometimes he gets in takeover mode and he gets a little bit too, ball centric. But you got all these, like, you got your central figures, but then you've got 3 or 4 guys that are just out there to play defense and fill in gaps as needed offensively. And they understand their role. They love their role. I'm talking about Jaden McDaniels, Josh Okogie, Pat Beverly when he eventually comes back for the second game, and Jarrett Vanderbilt too. Like, those guys. Those are good NBA rotational players that primarily focus on defense and then doing things off the ball or setting up for three-pointers. Mm-hmm. And so, like, the fact that your roster now goes 8, 9, 10 credible players deep, and Chris Finch has these guys playing with energy. The over-under is like 34, 35.5 for this team, but, like, it's probably too early after one game. But this feels like a much better team than 34 or 35 wins based on everything we saw last night.
If they keep playing like they did last night, I don't care who they're playing, they're going to win games. The thing that I liked about last night too, and this is probably credit to Finch and his scheme and system, and of course the fact that he now had a full training camp. His starting 5 included McDaniels and Okogie, and Beasley was off the bench. But what I loved was, unlike how it seemed in previous years, first of all, when Okogie started, I didn't say, what the hell is he starting for? Second of all, they went into that game clearly saying this: we don't care if you score points because Cat's going to score, Ant scores, D'Lo will at some point score.
Go do everything else.
Go do what you do, which is get in guys' faces, disrupt. And McDaniels, I don't think I'm going out on a limb here. Jaden McDaniels strikes me as the type of guy, he's not there yet, but he has the chance to become an elite defender. Mm-hmm. Like, Okogie works his ass off, and I like he's always engaged. Jaden McDaniels goes to the next step. He works his butt off, but he also has that sort of elite defensive presence to him. And so the starting 5 last night, you didn't look at it and say, that's weird that guy's starting. Why is Beasley? It made perfect sense. And this is why I think a year of watching Finch is going to be intriguing, because I think you are going to get a level of coaching and scheme and effort that really should make this team, if not a playoff team, borderline. Because if you look, we're so conditioned for this franchise to be crappy that it's hard to take a step back and, like, look at the personnel. The personnel's pretty good.
And these, like, a lot of the players on this team are used to, like, Karl Anthony Towns and Josh Okogie, like, those are the sort of the OGs of the roster, right? I shouldn't say a lot of the guys on the team because there's been so much turnover, but they're used to losing. And so I think it's really important for them to see their process and what Chris Finch is preaching and the energy that they came with work last night. It doesn't matter that it's the Rockets. It matters that they committed all in defensively, and they committed to ball movement and energy.
Yep.
And they essentially committed to just outworking and out-energizing the opponent. And it resulted in a 30-point lead at one point.
Yep.
And so, I think if you go out there and you play with some energy and you're losing by 7 in the second half, you might start to think, we're just not that good. Like, what's the point of doing this other than the fact that you get paid millions of dollars? I think the psychological benefit of the result last night is going to carry forward. Like, you needed to do, it's like a video game or something. I'm trying to think, like when I was a kid and I would play like Super Mario Brothers or whatever, and like the first few levels are really easy. Like, you have to conquer the first few levels. That's where the Wolves are at right now. The Wolves you've got to conquer the Houston Rockets and then the Zion-less Pelicans. And once you do that, then eventually you can face the Lakers and you can face the Bucks and see how you stand up to some of those teams. But the way that played out last night was perfect for this team.
And I think the great thing, too, was this. Defensively, they came out full speed immediately. Shooting-wise, they didn't. So, like, here's what Finch can show them today, and it's perfect. First quarter, on threes, 2 of 12. They didn't shoot well. And after a quarter, they led 32-21. Why?
That's nuts.
Because they play defense. But I mean, that's like the perfect example of the Wolves a year ago. That game at best is tied.
Yeah.
Right? That game at best is tied. And when in the second half, and I don't know if this is going to sustain itself or not. It might not. But it was interesting to see. When Malik Beasley is a role player coming off the bench and in the second half says, I'm going to play some defense. And I turned to Johnny K at the game last night after Beasley made one of, I think, 2 really nice defensive plays, just effort. I said, did you ever see anything close to that from him last year? And he's like, no way. When Malik Beasley is being picked up off the floor by his teammates because he made a great defensive play, like that's a level of buy-in.
Yeah.
That has to keep up, but we have not seen in a long time.
I get that this is the most ridiculous Wolves victory lap ever. I get it's the Rockets. I have to sort of stop myself here, but like they look like they were playing with joy. They look like they love being together after the game. And again, this is so stupid, but like I'm going through Instagram after the game, and I follow D'Lo and Beasley and Kat and all these guys and Ant, and like all of them are posting photos with each other on the court in their street clothes after the game.
Cool. Yeah.
And they took a bunch of different pictures, and there's like it's like they like hanging out together. I also, Judd, I just wrote down the rotation from last night, like just the guys who played, and I included Beverly here too because he's gonna play. This is like people have been sleeping on this depth. I've probably been sleeping on this depth. All right, I'm not saying it's the 1987 Showtime Lakers here. Okay, don't get me wrong, but Kat, Ant, D'Lo, all guys who are going to score 20 points a game to certain levels of efficiency. Those are 3 really good players. Ant has just unlimited potential to maybe be at some point one of the 5 best players in the league. Kat has potential to be a top 10 player, right? Then you get past those 3. So those are your 3 main guys. Everybody else serves some sort of great purpose for this team. Like there's something that they do really well or multiple things.
Yep.
Taurean Prince, sniper 3-point shooter, plays with energy. Big body, lanky, like he can defend if he wants to. Not the greatest defender, but like he's lanky, he can play multiple positions, and he shoots like 40% from 3. Malik Beasley, one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA, also can score you 20 points a game as needed. Not going to need it with this bunch, but Josh Okogie, if his shot could ever come around, it'd be a totally different story, but like energy, transition, backdoor cuts, defense, can guard 3-4 different positions, right? Pat Beverly, defense, dog, energy. Jaden McDaniels, I haven't checked the box score, but like I think at one point he had like 4 steals and 4 blocks or something last night.
4
he's
steals,
like
3
7
blocks.
feet tall.
Yep.
Lanky. Jared Vanderbilt, 7 feet tall, defense. Naz Reid shoots 3s. And I haven't even mentioned 11 and 12 who played last night. Jalen Noel and Jordan McLaughlin. Like they have 12 legitimate, maybe more, NBA players on their team. And like there's a lot of years where you're digging deep on the bench. Like Even Jake Layman playing a bunch of minutes recently, like that's a problem. Like Jake Layman should be the 10th guy maybe on your roster. So I just man, I'm guzzling Wolves Kool-Aid here this morning, but I think this team can be a lot better than people even think they can be.
Well, and what do we always say though? Like we've talked about this since our show started. If this team is good, there's an excitement. Like last night was fun. The year after this team made the playoffs, and keep in mind, this team has made the playoffs once in the past 17 seasons, okay? The year after, one of the star players and the coach was booed by the crowd. Butler had ticked off the fans who also booed Tibbs. They're booing the coach and one of the star players on opening night after they finally make the playoffs. This franchise has been so, I don't know, it's been just so awful, and there have been times where it shouldn't be. And last night, and I think it starts with Ant, last night there was an energy in that building that permeated from the bench and the players into the crowd. And Phil, this comes back to what we've always said. If this team gives you a good product, people will come out.
People are craving this.
This can be a basketball state. Like this, I love hockey, but this notion that we've always discussed of, well, it's a hockey state, get out of here, it's so untrue. And if this team can win, and most importantly, win and be exciting, because on back-to-back nights, guys, we got the Wild playing one of the best regular season games I've seen in years. And last night was engaging. It was fun. Like you wanted to watch it. This is what the sports fan in this town craves. And I would argue this is what you deserve. Like if you're a sports fan, you deserve this.
This is Chris Finch after the game.
That's really, what we've been trying to sell our guys. If we want to be a team that takes a step forward, we have to have that type of defensive approach. That first unit, from J.O. setting the tone on the ball to Cat and Jaden really being great at the rim, and just, multiple efforts. Even when we turned it over, we raced back down the floor and made up for it and transitioned that, and we've been playing like that all, pretty much all preseason. And to your point, we did it all 48 minutes for the most part tonight.
And Karl Anthony Towns, let's hear from him too.
I think it was important. The fans bring such a charge to us as a team. When they're there, we feel like we have that six man. We feel like we're playing 6 versus 5. And fans were amazing tonight. It's so great to see them back in the stands again. Obviously after a whole year, really not seeing them. See the place packed and alive like that is something really, really special. And I think for all of us in the NBA, I think it's something we took for granted. And I think that right now it's a time of us to look back and really appreciate the fans and the support and the energy they bring every night.
Mark Laurie was enjoying himself last night too. He was interviewed on FSN at one point with his Wolves gear, little goofy little grin on his face.
Yep,
loving it, man.
Yeah, he was. So here's my thought, and I think during the course of the game, I texted this thought to you as well, Phil. They introduced him. So after he went on Bally's with Marnie, I think early in the second quarter, they introduced him. He was sitting courtside, but in the seats across from the benches, so across from Glenn Taylor. And they put him on the scoreboard for probably 15 seconds or so. Timberwolves, I am urging you, embrace this guy. This guy's excited about the team. He's going to, hopefully, if things don't go wrong, if somebody does not decide, I didn't mean to sell my team, he's going to own the team. A-Rod's name is going to be there, but make no mistake, Laurie is going to be the guy. He's going to be the face of this thing.
Yeah.
The energy he brings, and I know that some folks don't like it, but it's important in sports today, not only for the fan base, but for the players. The Timberwolves need to lean into this. Having a new face that is very clear is going to run this franchise and be super excited and do what is necessary to make the product competitive, I think is a great selling point. And there is no way now to dress the whole Glenn thing up. It is what it is, which is a disaster for the most part, but it's gonna hang there until this transition is official.
Yeah, he needs to go away. He needs to go away.
But let's not put Mark on the scoreboard for like 10 seconds and be like, wow, new minority owner Mark Laurie's here, and now we're gonna go to Kiss Cam, which is gonna be longer as it lingers on fans. Let's embrace this. The transition to me is going to be very positive. So the earlier that you could start the perception of the transition, I think the better.
I think Mark Laurie should wear some of Glenn's goofy little sweaters as he sits. He was sitting courtside, kind of across from Glenn, right, last night.
Yes,
I think they should both just be in those like early '90s sort of colored pattern sweaters.
Get as far away from that as you possibly can. And Mark is, but I mean, this is a guy who's going to be enthusiastic. I think he's going to be there a ton. In fact, I heard last night that he is going to basically be here for the entire first month. So like he's going to be around, which is great, which is cool. But I just think all of these things, Ant, Laurie, all of these things that are new are what the Timberwolves have to embrace, because sadly, aside from KG, there's no history.
Yeah. Hey, Federated is, I believe they've been a longtime partner of the Timberwolves too. They've been a partner of us here on Mackey and Judd and SKOR North. And so if you're a business owner out there, check them out. See what they can do for you in terms of risk management. They can help protect your bottom line against unforeseen risks, your employees, help you put together various response plans, whether it's fire prevention. We're still in this pandemic after a year and a half. So find out why Federated has been among the best in the business for over 100 years. Based in Owatonna, they're one of us. And check them out at federatedinsurance.com. At Federated, it's our business to protect yours.
Russell in rhythm, pulls up, hits it, and Silas needs the timeout. Towns skies for the dunk. Edwards on the attack, and Ants can fly. Wolves come up with it again. Edwards for McDaniels, and the sophomore connection sizzling. Edwards up the steal, and in coast to coast.
God, inject that all into my veins.